Arch Manning is a fraud who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. Ruben Bain from Miami is absolutely unblockable. Cade Klubnik and Clemson are bottle jobs. Alabama are nothing without Nick Saban. There are so many narratives swirling around after an absolutely crazy week one of college football. So today I'll be doing a top 10 mock draft to see how players' stocks have gone up or gone down after the first week. Of course, it is only week one. There is still so much football to be played. I'm not trying to overreact to anything, but it is interesting to see how some players underperformed relative to expectations and some players massively overperformed. So this isn't just based on week one. I have watched all of these players tape previously, but week one will obviously be factored in. This is what I would do mock draft. This is not predictive. There are no trades at this early time. But I will be churning out way more NFL draft content, so make sure you subscribe right now to stay in the loop, not miss a video. Make sure you like and make sure you leave a comment. I want to hear your thoughts about what players you like or don't like after week one. Without further ado, let's get into it. And let's start by having a discussion then about Arch Manning. That's why I started the video, and I'm not going to pick him in this top 10 mock draft for one primary reason, and that is because I don't think he's going to declare this year. I don't think he should declare, and I don't think he will. Let's, though, focus first on his game against Texas. A lot of things against Ohio State, sorry. A lot of things can be true at once here. He did not play a good game, right? He was skipping rocks on some throws. His mechanics were off. His accuracy was all over the place. His decision-making wasn't good. He wasn't reading his blockers properly in the red zone to try and get a touchdown. It was all off. He had a very bad day in the office. There is no denying that. But what is also true is that the Ohio State defense played what I think can only really be described as up to an NFL level. The Ohio State defense basically did their best Brian Flores and Minnesota Vikings impression because that's what it looked like. Matt Patricia was in his absolute bag. Yes, the NFL coach, Matt Patricia, that guy. That's why it's not surprising that he is introducing harshly these college quarterbacks to NFL level defenses. It was very hard conditions for Arch Manning to play in. It was his first ever start on the road in the season opener against the reigning national champions while they're throwing NFL level stuff at him. I think any quarterback in the nation at the college level is going to struggle with that, and Arch was obviously no exception to that whatsoever. And I think there were, if you squint and you take a far step back and you try and keep a level head on here, there were some really nice throws that he made, of course. Overall, it was a lot more ugly than it was a few good throws. But I think there were some very small diamonds in the very ugly rough, is what I would say for Arch Manning. It is only the first week. I'm not going to overreact. I don't think he was going to declare or should declare anyway, but you've now got people labeling him as a bust before he's even played an NFL snap. I don't think that is going to be the case with Arch. I think he is going to come good. I think Texas will come good. It just looked like they got shell-shocked, really, out there. They didn't look like a well-coached team. And we know that Steve Sarkisian, the head coach of Texas, is a good college coach. So really, I know that Arch can play well. Yes, in limited time we saw him, but I know he has that talent in him. I know that he's got a good offense around him. I just think they got outgunned immediately and just didn't really have a counterpunch, frankly. I think, though, with Arch that he should rightly stay in college. He will almost definitely do that now, I think. He's taken a big stock knock, even if I think it's unfair. Perception is reality with the NFL draft. And I think it's fair to say that he needs more time to develop. He's only had 2 starts against LA Monroe and Mississippi State. Give the kid some time. Let's not overreact. Yes, it was ugly. Yes, it was hard. It's only week 1. So Arch Manning is not going to be going in this mock draft because I don't think he's going to declare. It's as simple as that. Not because he didn't have a good game. Let it be known. So the Browns are on the clock with the first overall pick, and they are going to go with a quarterback. Now, my previous QB1 was Cade Klubnik, and I'll talk more about him later. But my new, kind of off the back of week 1, a quarterback that I think looked a hell of a lot better, is Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. He looked like an NFL level quarterback out there, I think, in the game that LSU played in their week 1 opener against Clemson, no less. He came out, I think, second ahead of Lenora Sellers, who I will also talk about. He came out as the best looking quarterback from week 1, I think, in the nation. He looked confident. He looked unfazed. He was just able to process things pre and post snap at an NFL level. He was using motion and kind of formation changes to make to force, if I can get my words out, to force the defense to show their hand, and he would adapt how he was going to play that play accordingly when he knew what the defense were going to do. And that is kind of that NFL level cerebralness, the kind of ability to play a play out in your head before you almost have to do it, that I think is going to translate really well. He was my 4th ranked player anyway, let it be known, my QB2. So it's not as if I was, I had Nussmeier as a 3rd round flyer and he's now a 1st rounder. For me, I've just kind of swapped him and Klubnik for now. And he just looked really good. He could be a potential Heisman candidate. A lot of people said that before the season. Don't get me wrong. I was questioning if LSU's defense were going to basically sell his ability to compete for the Heisman, because I don't think you're really going to win the Heisman unless you make the playoffs, realistically. And I don't think that LSU were going to make the playoffs, so their defense was bad, but their defense was not bad. Harold Perkins flying around the field. Wheat Wicks looked really good as well. So I think that Nussmeier came out really strongly from week 1. He's a fearless pocket passer. He's a gunslinger, a bit like Tony Romo for me. He'll fit it into really tight windows. And I think kind of he just played efficient, clean football this week, which is against a team like Clemson, you need to do. And also, he had an average time to throw of 2.14 seconds. That is so damn quick. You need to understand, the average time is like 2.5, 2.7 in that range, maybe. To be 2.1, that you got that ball out. You have to have everything in our head sorted before the ball touches your hands. And Nussmeier shows that he can handle that. So good on him against, in my opinion, at least preseason, on paper, the best defense in college football with Clemson. So Nussmeier is the worthy first pick here. The Saints. Now, the Saints are also going to go with a quarterback, not Arch Manning, because, as I said, he's not in this draft. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to and I did this when I did my mock with Trevor Sycamore. If you haven't seen that, go and watch that, by the way, on this channel. I kind of diverted from my own board here, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go with a bit of a flyer, and I'm going to take LaNorris Sellers. Now, Sellers, for me, looked brilliant in week 1 because he looked kind of as advertised in many ways, which in a word is unsackable. There's this one play, which I'm sure most of you have seen, where he breaks out of 3 dead to right sacks / tackles for loss in a single play. And it's that strength, that athleticism, that build, that size, just the freakish physical tools that means he's able to do special things like that. He, needs to, I think, still iron out some of the blemishes on his tape. I think there definitely were still some of those, even in that week 1 opener. But again, you see that tantalizing upside with him, just that. It's basically almost like if Anthony Richardson were to play another year of college football, I think, because the knock on Richardson was that he was just really inexperienced. Sellers is getting another year this year, and I really want him to develop quite significantly, I think. My bar for Sellers to reach, I think, is going to be quite high, because maybe I've got PTSD from Anthony Richardson. Who knows? But if Sellers, doesn't hit that bar, I would almost like for him to go back for another year, honestly. So for Sellers, for me, I need to see him develop as a passer. I want to see him really reach the top of his potential and then declare, rather than it being, he might need to sit for a year in the NFL, because we know that doesn't really work anymore. So Sellers, for me, is still a bit lower on board. I've not upped him on my big board, but I think it is worth saying that he played better than my QB2 at the moment, which is Cade Klubnik. Now, we have a very interesting pick with the Giants. And look, the Giants don't need defensive line. Let's say they don't need quarterback here. I'm going to go with Caleb Downs here. And yes, I do think now, after week 1, just week 1, I know it's a bit knee-jerk almost, but that his performance, Caleb Downs, was just that good. I think that he is a defensive savant. His body language, the way that he understands football, I think is second to none in this class, genuinely. It is just, he is 5 steps ahead every single time. In the game against Texas, Arch Manning would look up at him, and Caleb Downs would simply open up his body to basically act like he's doing something he's not going to do, basically act like he's going to bail in to be one of the deep safeties. And that just meant that Arch Manning didn't look to that side of the field, when really Caleb Downs just had the flats, like much shallower towards the line of scrimmage, where no one was running to anyway. And it's that ability to know that, right, this quarterback is looking directly at me. If I just subtly do something to suggest I'm going to do something else, you're just 5 steps ahead. You're playing 3D chess at that point. You're playing with your food, almost, with Arch Manning there. It was really something to behold. And it's not even, like I say, it's not even with Downs, the plays that he makes on the ball, which are fantastic in itself. The closing speed is unbelievable. but it's more the how he's able to ensure that no one throws his way, like, almost like the best cornerbacks do in the NFL. He is just a special talent, and I thought that pre this year, my knock-on down was that, like, is he overly specialized? Last year, he sat in kind of in between the safeties and the linebackers in that kind of robber role, and I was like, will anyone really let him play that like super specialized football in the NFL? This guy was all over the field. I mean, Matt Patricia was using this guy from almost like Brian Flores uses someone like, what's the Viking safety? Like Harrison Phillips. Is it Harrison Phillips? Something Harrison? The name's leaving my brain right now. But he will have Caleb Downs beyond the line of scrimmage and then actually be playing basically the linebacker role in Tampa 2, in kind of an inverted Tampa 2 look, where Caleb Downs will be kind of just in between the two deep safeties, kind of at the same level. He can play that Tampa 2 role. He can play a robber. He can be at the line of scrimmage. He is basically Derwin James mixed with Budda Baker, is what I would say. And would I take that kind of player 3 overall? In this class, if I didn't need a quarterback, I think I would. The Jets do need a quarterback, and this is where I think I'm going to take Cade Klubnik, who, didn't have a fantastic game week 1. He was my second overall player on my big board, so all hands up here. I'm not trying to cover for any of my current rankings. I'm going to take Klubnik because fundamentally, I think that towards the end of last season, we saw him really take massive strides. He struggled in week 1 against Georgia, and he struggled in week 1 now against LSU, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But I do think that what he showed on tape down the stretch, I mean, against Texas last year, he had 5 big-time throws. He was ripping it all over the field, laying it over linebackers in front of safeties, and that had NFL talent for days on that Texas defense. I think that Klubnik really just struggled, I think really Clemson as a team struggled. LSU and Nussmeier had a curveball, a changeup. They came with a game plan, didn't really have to deviate from it. Clemson were forced off their game plan, and Klubnik was forced off his, and they didn't really have a changeup. He was trying to make plays outside of the pocket by scrambling or by playing out of structure, and they just had Harold Perkins as a QB spy just gobble him up. Klubnik's got some wheels to him. Don't get me wrong, he's not Lamar Jackson, but he can keep a defense honest. You can't keep Harold Perkins honest. That guy is going to eat you up. So it was something that I think, when I do listen to what other people say, I think I'd be foolish not to. And with Klubnik, people are questioning, is he more of a kind of day 2 guy, or is he a first rounder? I have him as a first rounder, but in week 1, he looked like a day 2 guy, if I'm being honest with myself. So he needs to bounce back. I do think the talent's there. I'm not going to drop him, as I said. I'm not trying to be overreactionary here. I still think he's a good quarterback. I trust what I saw down the end of last season. I just think that when you're already factoring the subpar physical tools as the height, which is 6'2", he's only 210 pounds, and he's only got an okay arm. If he's not going to really just consistently be able to win against teams like LSU, then he's going to struggle a bit more in the pros, I would say. So I'm not panicking about Klubnik or Clemson just yet. It's only week 1. I am reserving the right to be panicked, is what I would say. The Titans. I think here I'm going to go with my number 1 ranked player on my big board, which is Peter Woods. Now, yes, he didn't have a fantastic game against LSU, but as I said, LSU basically neutralized the pass rush because they knew they can't really block Peter Woods and TJ Parker. So let's just get the ball out before they have any chance to. No one can pressure a quarterback in 2.1 seconds, which was Nussmeier's average time to throw. But again, I completely trust the tape I saw from him last year, which in my opinion made him the best player in this class. He just plays nastily. He does play against Texas where he is able to stiff arm 2 offensive linemen at once and then make a tackle on a running back. He's that kind of guy. He's got that highlight reel as an interior defensive lineman, which just makes you gasp almost, really. He's got great power. He's got legit pass rushing chops. He can rush off the edge as an interior defensive lineman. That's what you want from someone that you're going to draft maybe 5th overall, is that interior defensive lineman that can rush the passer at an elite level. And I think Peter Woods can do that, even though he didn't have a huge game last week. The Panthers, they need defensive help. So I'm going to go with Peter Woods' Clemson teammate, TJ Parker, who currently is my 3rd player on my big board. He, again, the same for Woods. can't rush the passer when the quarterback's throwing the ball that quickly. But he is a natural pass rusher, had 12 sacks last year, 51 pressures. He's got an array of different pass rushing moves on his tape already. He's got one-handed swipe, speed to power, bull rush, long arm, rip move, and the results speak for themselves. He knows how to pressure the opposing quarterback and knows how to do it consistently and do it well. I think that he's not a freakish athlete, so he might have a lower ceiling, let's say, than some of the other pass rushers we've historically seen kind of go in this range. But I think TJ Parker is a great talent. And I think we will see both Parker and Woods come good sooner rather than later in the season, really. The Raiders. What are the Raiders going to do? I know what the Raiders are going to do. They're going to draft Ruben Bain, who, I'm being honest to my board here, I took TJ Parker ahead of Ruben Bain, but if I'm being honest, Ruben Bain looked like he could be the edge one after just 1 week. He had that good of a performance. He was legitimately unblockable against a very good, or at least what we thought was a very good Notre Dame offensive line. He was terrorizing them, genuinely. He was winning so quickly that Notre Dame had to resort to just throwing screens and just operating quick passing game out of the gun. And when you've got to change your entire offensive game plan because of one player just absolutely bullying the offensive lineman that he's going against, you know you've got real talent. That is not luck. And again, he's not playing LA Monroe. He's going against Notre Dame, a very good team, in my opinion, even though they lost. He's just so quick on the... he's so quick off the line. He's so explosive. There's this one rep where I think it's the right tackle for Notre Dame, had to literally just turn and run downfield to try and cut him off in Bain's path to the quarterback, and he still wasn't able to. He looked so good. The punch timing was incredible. He just almost knew when the offensive line were going to raise their hands to swipe it down. He was physical against the run as well. He was just unblockable in the pass game. He looked like the real deal. And before the season, he was my 5th ranked player on my big board. I already thought he was the real deal. So I think he could definitely be a top 5 player when it's all said and done. He already is on my big board before this game anyway. And he could be a top 3 pick when it's all said and done if he continues this run of play, which looked really, really, really damn good. The power, the mentality he plays with, like Aiden Hutchinson-esque, I would say, just wants it, you know, and you can't really coach that, I think, into some players. And when they have that mentality in the trenches, it just makes it brilliant. And I think that the only knock I had on Bain was that the injuries derailed his 2024 season. And I think he can be a bit over-aggressive, but man, he is really high floor at the moment, and at the moment we're kind of seeing his high ceiling as well. Really exciting. If you don't know about Ruben Bain and haven't been watching him, you need to watch some Miami football because he is the real deal. The Bears. I'm gonna draft Jeremiah Love here. He is the only running back that I think would at this point be drafted in the first round. There are other very good running back performances, and I think the Bears would benefit from a running back like we know Jeremiah Love can be. However, let me start with the fact that he can be. He showed previously last season that he can be a complete 3-down NFL level running back. He gets skinny through holes that are just big enough to fit him. I said to Trevor that it's like Indiana Jones reaching back for his hat and taking it just before the boulder crushes it. Like the timing he hits the holes with is perfect. He's a massive home run threat. When he's gone, no one is catching him. There's a whole 4-minute highlight reel basically of just his breakaway runs when he's simply running away from people. Strong vision, decisive runner. I think he's a really good talent. However, something wasn't quite right with Jeremiah Love in week 1. He only had 10 carries for 33 yards, which maybe Notre Dame are trying to manage his workload ahead of the NFL draft. I don't think so. I think it's probably more likely there's some sort of lingering injury from the back half of last season. But it is concerning. That's not really the stats you want your running back to put up in a big, dare I say, must-win game, you know, with how the playoffs are, and you lose early to a good opponent. Maybe not, but it's a game you definitely want to win. He did have more involvement in the passing game, which is encouraging, but really I'm focusing on the run game here. 10 carries for 33 yards. Something's not right, and all he's doing is spamming hurdles. And I say all he's doing. If you can hurdle someone, that's fantastic, but you also want to be able to just make defenders miss with agility or with strength or stiff arms. Hurdling is not luck. It's unfair to dumb it down like that. It's a fantastic play and it takes great skill and athleticism. But you need to be able to do more than just hurdle to be an NFL level or really a good college level running back. So something's not quite right with Jeremiah Love. It's definitely something I think to keep an eye on. I hope it changes because he is a fantastic talent. I think he could definitely be the only first round running back in this class, but he has to play like he did last season, not how he did last week. The Colts. Who are the Colts going to go for? Dare I say they also need a quarterback? As I said, Archman is not going to go. So let's talk about the quarterbacks briefly. Drew Aller, I think I need to see more from Drew Aller, definitely. Could be a first round quarterback. And he is a first round quarterback on my big board, not top 10 yet, though. So I need to see more from Aller. Mendoza, same goes for him. Levitt as well. John Mateer, though. Now, if you don't know about John Mateer, you need to, and you're about to, because he is a really good quarterback. He is 13th on my big board currently. Obviously, the Colts, I think, need a quarterback. Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, the experiment with Anthony Richardson is over, and if they're picking ninth, Daniel Jones has not led them to redemption, so let's assume if they pick here, they're going to need a quarterback. Sorry, any Anthony Richardson truthers, but you're going to like me after I tell you about John Mateer. He had a 13.3% big-time throw rate in week 1. A big-time throw is a tight window throw deep down the field, the type that makes you sit up out of your chair and go, wow, what a play that was. That's the kind of player he is. He had the second highest rate, I think, maybe second only to Arch Manning, dare I say, in week 1, because he's a YOLO gunslinging quarterback. He is that kind of Drake May, Josh Allen style of passer, whilst also actually kind of being similar on the ground as well. He had a really big game this week in week 1, not a big opponent they went up against, but they got Michigan this week, so it's going to be a big week for John Mateer, so keep an eye out for that, definitely. And I think if Oklahoma beat Michigan, a lot more people are going to be talking about John Mateer. So I'm putting you onto something here, guys. He has just aura, swag, whatever you want to call it. He plays arrogant, got an unbelievable arm, quick release. There's a play against New Mexico State. He literally scored in 2 plays. Like, he's got that. He can just see down the field. He's got that kind of YOLO mentality. He can make it work. He's also a legit dual threat rusher. He ran for 1,008 rush yards last year, forced 54 missed tackles, which was first among all running backs. He's not a gimmick, he can pick up some yards with his legs. John Mateer is a legit dual threat quarterback, and don't you forget it, because that's what makes him so damn good. He can pick up 30 yards with his legs if you let him on a read option, and then he can score the other, what did I say, 40 or 50 or 30? Let's say he scored the other 70 yards with his arm. He's that kind of quarterback. And yeah, he might not be on everyone's radars right now. He should be. And I think after this week 2 of the college football season, he could be. And now, finally, the second Browns pick. This one's going to be an easy one for me. They need to bolster their offensive line, and I think anyone that would pick in this range would also need to bolster their offensive line, and that is Spencer Fano from Utah. He bullied UCLA in week 1. Yes, it's only UCLA, but you can only play the opponents in front of you. And he is my OT1, is my 5th overall player on my big board currently. He looked like it. He looked every part like it. He was just taking offensive linemen for walks against UCLA. He pancakes galore on his tape. He was smooth in pass pro, vicious in the run game. There are concerns that I have about his anchor. He is light. He is only 291 pounds. I wanted to put on a lot of weight this season to be ready for that NFL level physicality and strength. And you're not really going to come against that with the opponents that Utah are facing. But nevertheless, he has great movement skills. He's a crazy athlete. He's a brilliant finisher. He is what you want your offensive lineman to be. And also a bonus, offensive lineman wearing numbers in the 50s just gives them extra aura. I don't know what it is. It's a scientific fact. I didn't come up with it. I'm just telling you it's definitely the case. Think Penei Sewell. It looks so damn good. Way better than those horrible 70s. But that is my top 10 so far for week 1 of the college football season. As I said, not trying to overreact to everything. This is relatively honest to my current big board, so things will inevitably change over the season. It's interesting to see how players perform and if they go up or they go down on certain big boards. But I think these are currently definitely the best players right now. Obviously, as the season continues, we'll see even more players come in there. Like I said, maybe Arch Manning will rear his head. Jordan Tyson is a great receiver. Drew Aller might work his way into the top 10. Keldrick Falk had a really good game despite not having great stats. Harold Perkins looked really good for LSU. Maybe he is with the first linebacker off the board. There is so much to look forward to this season, so much content, so much games still to come. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already to not miss a single video, because as I said, mock drafts, position breakdowns, big board rankings, it's all coming at you this season. So make sure you subscribe to not miss a single video. Leave a like to push it out to other NFL draft fans, and leave a comment. Again, I want to hear your thoughts. Who was your winner of week 1? What player for you has declined the most on your big board? Let me know in the comments. I read them all. Thank you very much for watching. I've been your host, Dom Corbs. This has been Corbs NFL. I'll see you on the next video.